One of the concerns you had on the list was a lack of communication coming from Clayton and sort of these unilateral decisions as you would characterize them. Um, can you elaborate a little bit more on that, why you guys feel that way?
I think that's more expressed. And again, these aren't all my personal things that I'm saying. I mean, it's a group of mayors putting together a list. But what I would say on that is I think the difference would be is for the mayors, we have our own police departments, we have our own emergency responders, we have our own, we're required and as part of this to try and help maintain these orders and enforce them and to try and explain them frankly to people. And I think what we were expressing is we would really like to not find out about the orders on the television or a press conference. It would be very helpful to at least be able to kind of have some knowledge and the potential to input or to have input on them prior to them doing that. And again, we're expressing that in a polite way. We understand the executive has a lot going on, but I think it would be much better if we had more collaboration in the region, especially at the municipalities that are actually, to a large extent enforcing the orders. We need to have more lead time on that. And it would be the same way coming out if they were to say, hey, we're going to start really relaxing rules or doing things. We'd really like to be involved so we understand and can explain that to our local businesses. So communication down to the local level is extremely important now. We're just trying to emphasize that.
And just trying to think off the top of my head, two of the questions that I know are of great interest right now locally are the parks issue and then the idea that, a lot of revenue and a lot of operations are based on sales tax revenues, and obviously those are going to be significantly down. So what was discussed and what was said about those two issues in your meeting today?
Well, there were two parts of that. On the park specifically, the executive explained that they had park rangers who were out, who had contracted the COVID virus. So they felt like they couldn't provide the management of the parks in order to keep the social distancing. We didn't get a chance to suggest it, but I think after the call, several of us thought that maybe if they could supplement park rangers with county police or some other type of enforcement, maybe that would be a way. If it's manpower issue, maybe there's a way to get the manpower back up for the parks. He seemed to want to get the parks open. Again, I don't think he's trying to not do that. But again, that's a collaboration issue where, again, can we help? Are there things we could do? Because, again, in Eureka, we haven't had to do that. We've got our parks open. We don't have rangers. We just have police that we use for that function. On the other issue of funding, we discussed the county has about $170 million, I believe, that has been allocated for COVID-related expenses. But he explained that's only for expenses and that will not make up for revenue shortfalls. So that will be a tremendous issue in St. Louis County and the municipalities because, for instance, out here, Six Flags is one of our largest sales tax generators. If those type of things don't occur and we don't have that activity, it can have tremendous impacts on the ability to provide the same services. So, and that's why I say this conversation, it's not, the economy is a complicated thing. It's one thing to say, hey, stay home, be safe. But to a certain level, there'll be a time where you go, if you stay home and we don't do anything, all of your municipal services, you start having, you're seeing that even at Chesterfield. There's been other places that have had to do, and we've had layoffs on staff. So there's a point where it starts to affect even your emergency responders, your ability to provide the services because there's no revenue.